Hey everybody, I'm back. And have you seen Moon Knight? I mean, guys. Oh, man. Episode 1, The Goldfish Problem. Episode 2, Summon the Suit. Oh, I have watched those episodes I've watched episode 1 at least 8 times by now. And I think I just finished watching episode 2 for like the 4th time again. And this just blows me away, folks. I mean, Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke are killing it right now as their respective characters. I mean, seriously, Oscar Isaac as Stephen Grant / Mark Spector / Moon Knight. I mean, come on. The man, the man is, I mean, seriously, if you watch episode 1, I mean, the sleeplessness, the restlessness, he just, I mean, and then there's, give me a minute to compose myself. Oh, yeah. Well, it's been a minute, you guys. Yeah, I haven't been around since, I think that little one is when I dropped at the end of No Way Home, yeah. Sorry about that. Been going through some stuff, medical, emotional, that kind of thing. But yeah, back to Moon Knight, y'all. Woo! I mean, this show is killing it. I mean, the acting, directing, the visuals. I mean, this show has just got so much going on for it. I'm almost a little hesitant to get into it because it's so much to cover, and I don't want to make this too long a video. I want to keep it short, or I can keep it short and sweet. So why don't we just start with episode 1? Like I said, episode 1, The Goldfish Problem. Our introduction to Moon Knight in the official MCU. And wow, folks, what an introduction it was. Watching the seemingly normal, borderline loser guy, Stephen Grant, go through his daily life as this gift shop clerk, this sad, borderline, know nothing guy. And then all of who only honestly the only thing interesting him about him seems to be his sleeping disorder, his, well, as he put it, his sleepwalking disorder. I mean, the guy has to chain himself up to his own bed at night and put seals around his house, on his doors and crap to make sure he doesn't leave. And I love, oh man, and that was good. I mean, seeing that intro, those first 20 minutes, really sets up the character and shows you and gives you a good insight into Stephen Grant and his life and also his mindset. And then all of a sudden, blink of an eye, we are in the middle of God knows where, and Stephen is just like, what happened? How did I get here? How and why does my jaw hurt? He looks up. Ah, he's at the base of a castle in a beautiful meadow. Like with this beautiful, beautiful little old world village in the distance. And I'm like, wow, that is such a massive tonal shift. And at first I thought he was dreaming. At first I thought he was dreaming, or maybe he had like, maybe he really was insane. But no, I'm kidding. I already know about Moon Knight and all that. But, and then, and then when he gets to the village, I mean, he's got these guys chasing him. You have no idea why they're chasing him, except for this. They want this little gold trinket back, and you're like, what? What did he do? And I think that's what made this episode so great. Was the little blackout moments where Steven loses control and he has no clue what happened during his blackouts. I mean, that is brilliant. I mean, because it adds this air of mystery to the whole thing, and it just makes me want to know more and more and more. And thankfully, in episode 2, we get a little more information on Mark and what's going on with his side of things. But oh man, since back to the village, I mean, and then when he finally comes to the village, and when we finally get to see the villain of the series, Hammond. Oh man, Ethan Hawke. Oh, brother. Oh, killed it, man. I mean, from the moment he walks, from the moment he's on camera in front of this crowd, you feel the gravitas of this man. You feel like, oh man, this is not a guy to be messed with. This guy just he exuded this aura of ooh, how do I describe it? It was more of a, it was a kind of a come hither, I can help you vibe. This kind of this cool, this ominous cult leadery vibe that like he immediately gives off from the moment he walks out. I mean, and then you see him, and you see these people walk up to him and beg to be judged by this man. And you see him display his, well, not his power, his avatar ability for the first time. You see him invoke his god Amonet's ability to judge those, and oh, that was amazing for me. I mean, with the staff and the arms and the scales. I mean, oh, it was so good. I mean, it added this bit of it added this kind of weight to him. I mean, that was already there. It added not only this, it didn't just pull you in, but it made you realize that how dangerous this guy actually is. That these people knowingly came to this man willing to risk death to meet this, not only this man, but this God's approval. I mean, it was really a harrowing moment and a great way to actually introduce the villain like to the audience. I mean, we sort of see him at the beginning. We don't see him completely on camera, but we see him at the beginning with the whole glass and the taking a shot and glass in the shoes and all that, and that set up a kind of it gave you kind of a vibe of the guy, like this guy is not all together there vibe on him. But then when you actually see him on camera, it's like the complete opposite. Like when you see him in the opening, and you're like, okay, this guy is freaking nuts. I mean, he's putting glass in his shoes. He's not all together there. But then whoop, you see him in the village, and it's the complete opposite. You're like, oh my god, this guy is wow. This guy is something. I mean, even Steven is taken aback at this man when he sees him, and he knows that wow, this is probably a guy I don't want to mess with. And when he comes to him and asks him for the scarab, he immediately tries to give it to him. I mean, that speaks volumes about the villain. I mean, honestly, when the hero just like, oh yeah, here, this is what you wanted, take it. I mean, yeah, you could have it. I mean, yeah, and also there was the threat of the guys with guns chasing him, but come on. This guy was willingly just ready to give up the very thing he stole, or his other self stole. But his body wouldn't let him. Mark and Conchu would not let him give that scare back. And and there's a lot of humor in this episode, but for me, Conchu's comments and interactions in in the first episode are hilarious. They are just so well done. Oscar Isaac's physical movements and actions and reactions in this scene just add to the comedy of it. I mean, watching Steven fight his own body and the looks of shock and concern on his face as he's trying to give him this scare, but his body won't let him. I mean, it was a great little comedic moment in this moment where no, this guy's definitely gonna die if he doesn't do what these people say. But the comedy of it, balancing the seriousness of it, was excellent. And then and then he tries to run away, and then he's trying to run away, but the guys just straight up grab him, and they're about to pull him into what looked like a bakery, and probably, I'm being honest, let's be honest, they were probably going to beat the crap out of him. And then he just, he looks like he's seizing for a minute, and then just blacks out, wakes up, scared, hand covered in blood, which I was like, whoa, what did he just do? And it just drove me nuts. I'm like, why don't we get to see what he's doing? Why are we only getting to see what Steven is doing. I want to see what Grant is doing too. And it drove me nuts. Like, but it was that build of that anticipation, that oh my god, that not knowing of what happens when Steven blacks out made you just love it even more. I mean, yeah. And the chase scene. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, top. I gotta give top marks to the camera crew and and everybody who worked on that scene. I mean, come on, that scene was the entire chase scene down the hill, the swerving, the turning, the angles, the shots. I mean, oh my god, it was so well done. I watched that scene like I think I watched that scene more times than I did any other scene in episode one, including the suit up, which I'll get to later. Oh my god, I can't wait to get to the suit up. Whoo! I mean, seeing Mark, seeing Mark, this unassuming guy, this guy who has clearly no idea what's going on and is in beyond way over his head, is just totally freaking out and driving a stolen cupcake van down a mountain. And it's not like one of those like regular mountain passes, of course. It's one of those winding, whirling, swerving mountain passes. Like yeah. And again, it's the humor that they manage to inject into these moments that make it so great. Like when when he's first in the car and he's in his cupcake van and he's zooming down the highway and he goes around the truck hauling the logs, and the driver straight up flips him off. I'm like, wow, like there's no way that guy came from that village for obvious reasons. I mean, he just straight up flips the guy off. I mean, he's just trying to pass the guy on a mountain road. And do you not see all of, like, I know the driver is just doing his job, but come on. Did you not see, like, the cupcake van being chased by the 7 other cars behind him? This guy is running for his life. Give him a break. And then the guy and then when the guy jumps onto the cupcake truck and Mark doesn't know what to do, he's freaking out. He just jams a cupcake in the guy's eye. I thought that was just again another great bit of comedy in a serious moment. I mean, it was funny, and the whole time Mark is apologizing and he's freaking out. He's trying to drive this truck and he's freaking out. And he's got this voice in his head telling him what to do, and he has again no idea what's going on. This sad little man is thrust into this insane situation that, let's be honest, no one would know what to do in that situation, let alone a guy like Mark, who probably assumes that this is all a dream anyway, and or he's just totally gone insane. I mean, either way. Oh, I really do love that scene. I mean, it was incredible. And then, favorite part, got to come to it. When after the truck crashes and the logs are coming down the mountain. Oh, when when the truck they finally catch up to him and they cut him off, and the logs come spooling down the mountain and take out the entire crew of bad guys. Oh my god, I laughed so hard at that. Oh man, I mean seriously, what are the odds? I mean seriously, I feel like Conchu might have actually planned that out, like because I mean when he was driving and like Mark is totally unaware that there's an oncoming truck. All of a sudden, you hear Conchu's voice, truck. And Mark's like, what? And he's like, truck! And Mark looks up, oncoming truck! Swerves around, the whole truck spills his load onto the freeway, and the wood just goes tumbling down the mountain. Mark's still going, and he managed to take out one, and Mark's still going. Luckily, he did take out one of the cars pursuing him. But the fact that he made it down the mountain far enough for the rest of those logs to take out the entirety of his pursuers, I thought that was just awesome for me. And then again, cut away. Mark wakes up in bed and assumes the whole thing's a dream. I would too. I mean, the guy wakes up. I mean, I've had some crazy dreams like that before, so I would have been like, oh, okay, thank God, it was just a dream. It was just a horrible, weird, just weird dream. Ooh, the relief he felt when he woke up that morning and thought that whole thing was a dream was that was palpable. Oh, and then gets up, goes to work. I mean, he's still kind of freaking out a bit. I mean, he gets up and he's getting ready for his day and all that, about to live his, life again. And then he sees the fish. Oh, his little tiny fish with the messed up flipper. Oh, the cute little Nemo style fish at the beginning has somehow completely regrown its limb. And yeah, that would freak me out too. Oh, man. And then, and again, here's where the comedy of the show comes in. I mean, I understand him freaking out about the fish, but I would not I would not have gone to this extreme to the point where he takes the fish in a blender to the pet shop he got it from and starts freaking out at this clerk about the fish and its fin and how it grew back and why and like this lady's gonna have any answer. She works at a pet shop, dude. She's not gonna have any more answers for you than you would for her. uh, and you could tell he was really not gonna let this go. If he hadn't seen the clock and realized, oh my god, I'm gonna be late for my date, which he was already late for anyway. Oh man, that was messed up. Goes home, gets ready. Oh, and the date, the scene where I gotta be honest, the scene in this whole episode was great, but the scene that gets me the most, like the one that really just blew me away the most, was him sitting in the restaurant, waiting for his date, calling her up and it's like, hey, it's me, it's steak time, yay! We were supposed to meet for our date tonight, yeah. And then the girl just goes completely off on him, like, yeah, I had steak 2 days ago. You saw it. I mean, and then she just, wow. She totally goes off on him, and it's completely understandable. I mean, the guy stood her up on their first date, and she didn't hear him for literally 2 whole days. But it's not her reaction that gets me. It's his reaction. Like, the utter confusion and shock on his face when he realizes that he has lost 2 days of his life just hits me. Like, it just hits me. And I don't know why it hits me so hard, but it really does. And I'm like, yeah, might be time for you to go to a hospital, guy. I mean, if you black out and don't remember 2 days of your life, you should really, really, really go to a hospital. Get some mental help here, brother. No joke. I mean, come on. I mean, this guy realizes, and he starts asking the waiter, like, what day is it, sir? It's Friday, right? It's like, no, it's Sunday. Yeah, it's Sunday, dude. And then he just, anyone else who would have lost 2 days of their life would say, oh God, yeah, they would understandably freak out like he did, but at the same time, you would be, yeah, maybe I should go see a doctor. Set up an appointment, do something, go to a hospital. Because seriously, you lost 2 days of your life, man. But no, instead he goes home. He goes home and just sulks and just eats, and he just eats the entire box of chocolate from his date. And oh, come on, let's be honest. We've all had that. We've all had that one moment where, oh God, you've been completely crushed by something, and you just don't know how to react. So you just you do the least smart thing possible. Uh, and for him, it was, instead of going to a hospital, again, going home and just wolfing down the entire box of chocolates from his should have been date. And that's where, and then the interesting part, and then he noticed, and then for a guy who's lived in that apartment for who knows how long, maybe months, maybe years, it only happens now, tonight, after he's had this lapse of time that he finally notices these oddities in his apartment, his the placement of his floor, the off mm, the mistake on his rug has been moved, and there's scuff marks on the floor. He really, this is some. I'm be honest. I am not the neatest person in the world. I'm not the most observant person in the world, but I'm pretty sure I would notice my furniture, a scuff marks on my floor, and my furniture, obviously signs of my furniture being moved around. I think I would notice that, you know. But again, that's just me, and I would definitely notice again, I'm pretty sure I would notice a loose panel on my in my wall. But then again, that might just be me. I might be a more observant person than others. I guess I don't know, but I know I would notice something like that personally. And so he moves the table, looks, inspects the wall, finds a hidden cache with keys, with storage locked keys, a cell phone, and a few other papers hidden in there. And I mean, come on, dude, you lost 2 days, and now you're finding weird caches of stuff in your apartment. Time to freak out has passed. The time to go to a doctor is now. I mean, seriously. Seriously, how? Oh. But again, this is Marvel and they don't do things normally the way you normally do it. So, unlike what you would do in the real world, he finds all this stuff and instead of, putting it back and freaking out and then going to a hospital to get a CAT scan, he starts looking through it and he dials the phone numbers. He dials the one and well, not only phone number in it. It's the majority number. It's Layla. He dials this Layla person, and again, same reaction as his date, freaking out, wondering where you've been, and he basically gets the same reaction. Only this time, this Layla person doesn't call him Steven. She calls him Mark. And that's when I think that's we're gonna jump back to that point later, but I think hearing Mark's name out loud actually triggered something, and I think that's what Mark mentions in episode 2 about there always having been a wall between the two of them. Uh, I think finally having to acknowledge Mark and all the strangeness that he's been going through has forced that wall that's been put up between them to finally start to break down. I, and you can see that almost immediately when when he tries to leave his apartment. He finally freaks out and he just tries to leave the apartment. And you start seeing Conchu, and he starts seeing Conchu in the hallway, and oh my god, and how awesome was Conchu? Oh man, our first actual good look at Conchu in the hallway and on the street the next day in the bus when he was on the bus. Oh, awesome, loved it. Conchu looks so good, and F. Murray Abraham. Oh, great performance as Conchu. I mean, I was really uh he delivered his lines with just the perfect gravitas and these with this perfect gravitas and there are these and Conchu's little comments Mark and Mark and Steven are just peppered throughout the episode, and I love it. I loved Conchu. I mean, well, I loved him in the first episode. He's kind of we learned a bit more about him in the second one, and he's a total. To be honest, he's a total dick. uh, but just hearing him as that voice in Stephen and Mark's head in episode 1 was just and making these funny comments and threats like give them scare and I'll kill you both. Or ooh, sorry about that. Phone phone check. Uh, oh, But and then the time lapse again after the elevator scene with. I mean, I don't blame him for freaking out then. I mean, again, you were seeing this giant mummified skull, like 7 feet tall thing, following you in a dark hole in the middle of the night. Yeah, right time to freak out, man. I mean, I don't blame him being curled up in the elevator and in the corner of an elevator freaking out. And oh, that poor old woman, that poor old woman when she got in the elevator. Oh, I mean, yeah, I would have had the same reaction she did if I saw some dude tweaking in the corner of an elevator. I mean, oh, guys, seriously. Oh, her reaction was totally justified and totally right. I mean, running to her friend, getting off the elevator and going right to her friend's apartment and just banging on the door like, let me in. This guy is out here freaking, let me in. I don't know what he's going to do. That was the right reaction. I'm totally honest here. And then, oh, again, snap, cut away, him next day on the bus. No memory of how he got there. No memory of what he did after he saw his little episode in the elevator. Again, just adding more and more and more mystery to what happened to him while he was blacked out. Just keeps the questions for that episode just kept piling on. Every time we snap, every time we cut away to Steven being at some other place at some other time, just adds more and more and more questions. I mean, yes, there's context clues to what he did when he was blacked out, obviously. But there's that not knowing element of it that just drives you nuts and makes you want to know more. Makes you want to watch it more and more. And mm, sorry. And Steven, understandably, again, freaking out. It's Monday morning. He has had a crap weekend. I mean, he lost 2 days. He's hallucinating a giant bird skull monster. I mean, seriously, I'm pretty sure anyone else, if that happened to me or anyone else I know, you would probably call in sick that day, go to a hospital, again, get a CAT scan, get your shit checked out. You have problems, bro. Get your brain together. Get your mind right. And yet he ends up still going to work. I mean, the guy loses another who knows how many hours of his life, and he wakes up on the bus, and I was like, oh, there's my bus, there's my job. Oh, might as well go to work. What the crap? No one does that. No one blacks out losing that much time and decides, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to work. And oh, the coup de grace was when he gets off the bus and he sees the very guy from his nightmare on the bus again. He sees the guy, acknowledges it, realizes that, oh my god, that guy's real. Was that not a dream? Did that really happen? And he still goes into work. And seriously, and he just walks right into work. I mean, oh my god, who does that? I would have been like, okay. I would have watched that bus leave, made sure that dude saw me, and I would have took it off. I would have gone. I would have been out, man. I'd have been gone. Mm-mm. But instead, no. Steven just goes into work, tries to convince the security guard not to let the guy in. I mean, and by the way, which totally fails, and he's already in the museum. That part I still don't get. Like, this dude not only Steven not only watched this guy get off the bus, like watch the guy stay on the bus as it drove off. The guy somehow not only got into the building before him, but I know how. But it just amazes me the amount of speed with which he did that. I mean, he sees Steven when he's on the bus. Steven goes into the building, which should have been, I'm guessing, a 2-minute walk, right? But no, the guy not only, Himmon's already in the building, hanging out, talking to other patrons. I'm like, wait a minute. How did that happen? It's just one of those little moments in the show that just adds to my love for it. And then the conversation, and then the conversation. Oh, where he explains the importance of the scarab to him, why he needs it, and that he serves Amunet and he wants to bring judgment or justice to the world, and that, you know. And then, oh my God, when he finally gets close enough to just Steven to pass judgment on him and puts his hands on him and does his whole magic scale weighing judgment thing on him, and the scales won't balance. That was so good. That moment, the look of shock on his face when his scales wouldn't balance, and that moment where it just clicks like, oh, you ain't right. That you ain't right moment for him, seeing Hammond's face and realizing that he finally understands who this guy is. I just love that moment. And he realized, and his guys were actually gonna go after him in that moment after he let him go. And he's like, no, 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 let him go. Because I think he knew that if he sent any more guys after him, they'd end up like the guys in the village, on the ground, covered in blood. Yes, and I don't think he wanted that. So he sends, so he, and I love that we just, he lets the day go by and wastes a little museum closes. Steven's completely alone. And then he sends a freaking jackal monster after the guy. I mean, that was insane. And, oh, the museum scene, the whole chase scene with him and the jackal, brilliant. Bloody brilliant. Use a bit of British slang there. I mean, I love the moments where he's wandering through this museum and you could hear him and on the PA system like, Stephen Grant of the gift shop, give me the scarab and you won't be torn apart. Like, and he says it with such a calm demeanor. It's just it's his demeanor that makes me love him as a villain. I love villains that don't think they're villains, the ones that have this air of righteousness to them, where I love those villains are some of my favorite ones. The ones that, oh, I am not evil, I'm doing good. It's those villains that have that sanctimonious mentality to them that I truly, truly love. But what I love about the scene itself is as you see Steven wandering through the dark museum, being stalked by this jackal monster, you pay close enough attention and you will see moments where his reflection or his reflection doesn't match him. Like you can see Mark and you can see Mark in his reflection, like watching him, like when he goes past a display case, like, and you see Mark, you see him turn his head, and he looks around, and then he walks off, but his reflection stays there, and you can see Mark kind of just like, "What are you doing, idiot?" Like you can see Mark in the mirror, kind of reacting to Steven's choice not to immediately run for his life, but instead wait till he actually sees this horrifying jackal monster, like a good what I'm say, mm, good 60, 50, 60, 70 feet from him, that he realized, oh God. And then he decides to run. Like, no. If I hear a creepy guy, if I hear this creepy stalker guy that I stole something from over a PA announce that I'm going to be killed, no, I am leaving immediately. I'm heading for the nearest emergency exit, and I am running for my life. But this dude, he sticks around, and he just wanders around and he freaks out. He's freaking out instead of running for an exit. And by the time he decides to actually run for his life, it's too late. The jackal's on him, just coming at him. Demon dog style, just ready to kill this guy. And again, another thing that amazed me about this was how the jackal moves throughout the entire scene. Like you see Steven like kind of running around, bumping into stuff, like trying to trying to outrun this creature, but the jackal is just hopping, shooting, jumping on walls, and I was amazed at how this thing was moving. It managed to move around this completely crowded museum and didn't touch or bother a single thing in the building. And I noticed that. I took a special exception to that, to the fact that as Steven is running for his life from this creature, the creature itself makes physical contact with nothing but the floors and walls. It doesn't touch a single display case. It doesn't touch a single object. It leaves no trace of his presence other than the fact that it's chasing Steven around. And oh, hang on, gotta plug up my phone. And like I was saying, it's just it was phenomenal. And then it chases Steven into the into one of the bathrooms, and he's freaking out. Understandably, I mean, he's probably like he said, he's being chased down this monster, and he's probably gonna die. Yeah, he was right to think that, honestly. Uh, and then Mark finally, Mark speaks again, and he's trying to, and Steven obviously like freaking out for his life, and he thinks he's losing his mind, or at the very least he's losing his mind. At the very worst, he's about to die and be ripped apart by a horrible jackal-headed monster. And Mark is just in the mirror like, Steven, calm down. Get your together, okay? This is real. Let me handle it. I got this. Let me do this. Switch. Like, switch? No, I don't want to switch. I don't want to die. I don't know what's going on. Please just make it all stop. And and then when Mark finally gets Steven to calm down after after this little freak out here, and understandable freak out he has, he finally calms down. He finally lets Mark take over. And right when he does, the jackal comes busting through the door, and you see him transforming. And it was just immensely. I loved it so much. You see the jackal jump onto Mark as he's transforming into Moon Knight, as he's summoning the suit, and it was just. And then you hear the sounds of struggle, and again, another thing. Again, we don't see what actually happened. All you see is a sink fly out of the bathroom. And you see the jackal clawing its way out the door like, no. And it gets dragged back in. Oh my God. Do you know how freaking messed up it is that a jackal monster tried to run for its life? Dude, that was insane. Moon Knight, that was, as Moon Knight's official debut, that was insane. I mean, I'll rewind that scene at least 5 times. I mean, this creature was ready to rip him to shreds. This thing was chasing him around the museum and ready to kill him. He transforms. 5 seconds later, it's trying to run for its life from him. And he lays into this thing, just wailing on it. Wailing, wham, wham, wham. I mean, that speaks volumes to the brutality that Moon Knight is capable of. That not only did he beat this mystical jackal creature literally to death, but that it was so afraid of him, it tried to run for its life. That speaks volumes about Moon Knight, in my opinion. And oh God, that was a great way to end episode 1. I mean, and seeing him get up, turn around, come toward the camera, and just seeing his full visage. Oh, wonderful, glorious way to end episode 1. Oh, give me a minute. I need to cool down after that. And then episode 2. Oh, episode 2. Oh, wow. Honestly, and while not as thrilling, so much more. It built. You finally we get into the story a little more, and Mark has ignited. And again, start off the episode. Mark wakes up in bed like nothing happened. He thinks again, this might have just been a dream. I might be losing it a bit, and he thinks, okay, no, it's just a bad dream at first. But then when he goes to work and he sees all the damage that happened, and he sees the damage, and he sees the police there, and the area being cordoned off, and he's like, oh crap. So that really, it solidifies for him the fact that, yes, what has been happening to him is real, and that he has finally just got to accept it, like, once and for all. You think? But that's when Mark, I mean, and then after seeing what happened to the bathroom and getting fired for obvious reasons, Mark, Mark gets the security guy to show him the footage of what happened last night, and what a shock. Oh, excuse me. What a shock. There's no footage of the jackal on camera. It's just him freaking out and running to the museum in the middle of the night and walking. But I absolutely love that as he's watching the security footage of himself freaking out, running to the museum, that we don't see the aftermath of what happened, but we see Mark in control for the first time of his body, walk out of the museum, and the way he looked at the camera. Like he knew, like he was looking directly at Steven. Like he knew Steven was gonna look at this recording later, and was like, he looked at that camera, and was like, Steven, yeah, it's me. You know it. It's that subtlety. It's the way he presented it that again makes Oscar Isaac so good at what he does in this show. It's the looks. It's the changes in his characters. It's the changes that he makes and the choices that he makes with those changes that really speak volumes about each of these individual characters. Like it's the nervous little way Steven kind of twitches and moves and like kind of jumps is kind of. But Mark, the moments we see him, he is he is the moments where we see him in control. He is just like focused, deliberate, and just he has this presence of strength and not and confidence to him that that Steven just does not have at all. Even when he's trying to be tough, like even when Steven finally just decides to man up and go searching for Mark's storage locker or storage room or wherever that key led him to. Well, I mean, to the storage place that Steven finally finds it. And even when he threatens Mark and he actually has a genuine conversation with Mark in the storage locker about about and wants to know what's going on. And Mark is just like, do you really want to know? Do you really want to know? And even as he's so certain that he wants to know, these his physic his physique, his body language speaks, the volume speaks. No, I don't want to know, but I need to know. While Mark's body language is in the reflection, just watching Oscar Isaac play off of himself in that scene in the storage locker, just seeing the sheer difference between these two characters is just I loved it. I really did. Watching these characters interact for the first time, like really interact, just was amazing. It was amazing. It was an amazing scene, and I really did love it. And then he jumps out, and he just Steven's like, no, fuck it, I know. Like, and Steven finally reaches his breaking point, which I am shocked he didn't reach after the whole jackal attack thing and getting fired and all that. That's his breaking point is finding a gun and a bag full of money and passports. That's your breaking point. That's when you decide, oh, now I need mental help. after you, not after you lost 2 days, not after you were attacked in your place of work by a jackal monster. What sends you over the edge is a bag of money and a gun. Really, dude? That's where you like. That's where you finally just. That's when Steven just finally breaks and he takes the bag and oh. And again, we seeing Kachu. Oh, when Steven comes out of that storage locker and he's trying to run away, and Kachu just ain't having this, man. He's just. I think Kachu's been surprisingly patient with Mark's and Steven's dual existence. And even though, let's be honest, it's probably his fault to begin with. Conchu's fault, not Mark or yeah. Let's be honest. Uh, if you know anything about Moon Knight, or if you gleaned from the conversation that Steven has with Hammond after the after their meeting, after their second meeting, yeah, you realize Conchu's not all that great. Mm. So Steven take so Conchu chases Steven through the storage unit, And oh man, that was really, and Conchu is straight up spooky. Like literally every time we see Conchu on screen, it's like Friday. That is some Friday the 13th level spookiness right there. I mean, he just pops up and he's barely moving. He's got this kind of like, oh, he has this whole Jason coming to get you vibe. And we finally, Steven gets outside, fine, into the daylight, which honestly, to be honest, does not affect Conchu. We've seen him out in daylight before. It has no bearing on Conchu's ability to appear before Mark. I think what does affect Conchu's ability to appear is the walls that are up in his head, the walls that separate him and Mark, also separate Conchu, because if you notice that we don't actually hear Conchu in Steven's head until after Mark apparently blacks out from his fall in the first episode when he jumped out of that castle window. Man, he jumps out of a lot of windows. Yeah, like I said, I think Conchu is limited by the same amount of by the same by this. I think Conchu was limited to that is by that same struggle that Mark has. Like he's struggling for control over the body against Steven and even and I think Conchu is also affected by that. That's why we only see him periodically pop up around the same time we see Mark and Steven fighting for control. Whenever you see those moments, those are the moments where Conchu seems to appear the most. Like when Conchu needs Mark to be in control, but Mark can't get control, Conchu seems to also appear and try to nudge Steven out of the driver's seat and put Mark back into it. But but again, that's just speculation on my part. But and finally seeing Layla, which was interesting. Layla just shows up at the storage unit, and Mike hops. Mark. Oh God, I said Mike. Steven hops on the bike with her, and he's just in complete confusion again about about what's going on. He meets this beautiful woman who he's never met before, but knows him. Clearly knows him, or at least knows Mark. Comes to find out, oh my God, this is Mark's wife, and which again raises even more questions because in the phone conversation they had the night before, she reveals that she hasn't heard from Mark in months, which again begs the question, which begs more questions about Mark's side of the story and Mark's life. Like, if she hasn't heard from Mark in months and Steven's been apparently living there, how long has Steven been living in that apartment that he claims is his mother's flat? It just begs all these questions about learning. The more we learn about Mark's life, it really does beg more and more questions about Steven's life. Like, how long, like, does Steven have, like, all these memories? Steven have, like, and it really does beg a lot more questions about his life. Like, if, like, how long has Steven had that job at the museum? How long has he been living in that flat? You know, all these questions that, and it really does bring up all these questions about Steven's life that he seems to know the answer to, but no one else. Like, there's no implication of these answers evident in the world until you start asking questions about Mark. And it was a little heartbreaking for me to watch Steven try to explain to Layla what he himself doesn't fully understand. When he tries to explain his situation between him, Mark, and the Scarab, and all this strangeness that he himself does not fully grasp yet. Yet here is this woman, this person from a life, from another life that he doesn't know, but who clearly knows him and wants and clearly is looking for his answers at the same time he is. But he's not able to give her any of these answers. It was just heartbreaking because he is this truly sad person, and you see him struggling to find answers, but at the same time, another person is now looking to him for those same answers that he doesn't have. And all the while, you have Mark in the back of his head just whispering to him, don't get her involved. Shut up. Don't tell her anything. You're going to put her in danger. Shut up. Mark begging, and Mark in the back of Steven's head just yelling, just begging, pleading for him not to get his wife involved in this situation. And Steven is just like, and you can see Steven trying to ignore him, but at the same time, he's also you can also see him thinking that, you can also see him kind of believe what Mark says. And he finally stops short, like when he finally is about to show her the scarab, and Mark says, no, if you show her that scarab, if you get her any more involved than you already have, she's gonna die. He finally just stops and backs up like, okay, I'm finally starting to believe you. I don't want this nice woman to die, so I'm just gonna shut up. But it's too late. He's already pointed out too much stuff. He's already gone. He's already literally hit wrist deep in the bag, showing her the money and the passports and stuff. I mean, let's be honest. Layla was gonna, even if Layla did believe him, she was gonna jump in the bag anyway and finds the scarab. Oh, and then we get a little more backstory that of the scarab's importance. That she and Mark have been looking for the scarab for all this time, and you can tell that from the books and stuff in Steven's apartment that Mark has been subtly influencing Steven's behavior to find the scarab himself. Help him find the scarab. He's been learning Egyptology, hieroglyphics, studying ancient Egyptian culture, and you can kind of see, he starts to realize that Mark has a bit more influence over Steven than we might think, and maybe vice versa. Because again, Steven, we start to see a little more of how Steven and Mark's uh, mental states kind of affect one another. Like, we finding out that Layla's favorite poem and Steven have the same favorite poem and poet. Mm, not a coincidence. Even though Mark kind of brushes it off as one, no. That is clearly aspects of Mark's relationship with his wife bleeding into Steven's subconscious and affecting him, and her love and knowledge of Egyptology and hieroglyphics. Again, I think those are aspects of their relationship that bled into Steven when Steven was kind of we don't when Steven was kind of created from Mark's mind fracturing. We see these aspects of Mark's life, that are clearly influenced by Layla. Like the fact that when Mark tells her that he's been living in his mom's flat, that and Layla's immediate comment to that is, "Oh, you're talking to her again?" But again, go back to episode 1. You will notice that Mark calls his mother on the phone daily, but never actually talks to her. He just leaves her messages. Again, another implication of Mark's life, of Mark's real life affecting Steven's existence. Like, I think that like this again, this is only my speculation on the show so far, that when Mark's mind fractured and created Steven, that Steven is what Mark wanted to be, or the parts Steven is a reflection of the parts of Mark's life that he wants to have. Like, he wants to live a quiet, simple life. He wants to work a job, a no nonsense job, an easy, quiet job, and if you go back and take a really good look at the girl he asked out, there are a lot of similarities between her and Layla. I'm just saying. But yeah, okay. I've ranted about Mark and Steven's personalities bleeding into one another enough. Back to the story, and then so as Mark and Layla continue their conversation, the cops show up. The cops show up to pick him up and ask him some questions, but they never actually say why they're there. They just burst into his apartment and just start, and they don't even ask him any questions. They burst into his apartment and start looking for crap. Like, seriously. The cops show up to his apartment, don't ask him any questions, don't tell him why they're there. They just burst in. These two detectives just bust into his house and start looking around for stuff. And then they find this bag and boom, lock him in the car, take him to their. And again, you see Mark kind of just go along with all of this. Like, really, man, like these two cops burst in your place and start ransacking, well, not ransacking, start asking you questions, start looking around your place, claiming you stole something, and again, Mark just goes with the flow, confusingly so. Like, honestly, like you gotta question Mark's judgment again. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna argue with a bunch of cops either, but because I'm not trying to get shot. I don't care if we are in Britain. Cops is cops. Wow. Oh, but man, that was. Oh. And then you find out the cops don't even take him to the station. They take him to their boss, who again, Hammond. Like we didn't really see that coming. I mean, come on. He's the main villain of the show. He's going to be popping up a lot more and more as the series goes on. There's got to be confrontation here. But I love when Mark and Hammond, I mean, not Mark, crap. I love when Steven and Hammond finally get to talk. Like, and it really does set up the, and again, this speaks to Hammond's power and influence that he has people everywhere. He's got people at the museum. He's got with Stephen works. He's got on the police force in London. He's got everyone in this entire village under his control, apparently. And it really does speak to the scope of his operation and the vast network that he has spent who knows how long setting up and building, all in Amot's name. And it really does kind of frighten you, and it speaks again to the gravitas of Ethan Hawke's character, Hammond. And oh man. And then we and I love the interaction here between Hammond and Mark. No, I keep saying Mark. Between Hammond and Steven, where you can clearly see him trying to influence Steven to join him. Oh, like he brings him into this quaint little neighborhood that he claims was at once one of the worst neighborhoods in the city, and that he helped clean up and rehabilitate. And I honestly kind of believe him because he kind of feels like that kind of guy. I mean, you can tell that again, watching him walk through little this little neighborhood with Steven, you kind of feel the scope of what he's about. Like you see all these happy people running around, and you feel this sense of community. It's the same exact feeling you got when Mark was in the village. You feel this sort of almost family like vibe from the people around him, and the air that these people all give off. They give off this wonderful, loving community vibe, like on the surface. But then when Mark starts to question, when he starts to question Ahmed's motives, and he starts to question their belief and their strength, the strength of their belief in this, you kind of see everybody kind of change. You kind of see the mood shift again, and you start to feel this kind of darkness, this kind of creeping evil from everyone around him. And you realize, oh yeah, this is not right. This is definitely some major cult vibes. And then and again, you see Hammond try to talk to Steven and try to tell, and he gives him, and he tells him, oh yeah, I used to serve Contra like you did. I was the avatar. I was his avatar before you. And sorry. And then Conchu puts in his 2 cents, and makes his little ruckus in the background. And only Steven can see him and hear him. But Hammond seems to know everything that Conchu was saying, almost word for word. And to the point where Steven goes, "Can you hear him too?" But no, that kind of speaks to the rhetoric, the one, the kind of a one note focus of Conchu's existence, that he only exists to bring justice to those who deserve it, to justice to those who have wronged the innocent. Kind of the same. It's kind of like the same vibe you get from Ghost Rider, except Ghost Rider is more of a. No, I'm not gonna get into the whole Ghost Rider Moonlight thing. That's just too much right now. I might do that later, maybe in the video. But yeah, it kind of does speak volumes to Conchu's character that he is telling Steven the almost word for word the same things he seems to have told Hammond when he was his avatar, or so he claims. I mean, but the fact that he's basically saying word for word what Ahmed's saying, what Conchu is saying, kind of speaks to his legitimacy of his claims. But then he finally, like, again, he gives off this warm, happy, kind of nice guy vibe. Like, yeah, I want to be your friend. But then all of a sudden, like, even though his demeanor does not change, the air about him does. When he changes to like kind of villain mode, and he's no longer asking for Steven's help, he's demanding that Steven give him the scarab or tell him where it is. His dynamic does not change. He does not change. There's no physical changes. There's no alteration to his face or his demeanor. His face doesn't change. He doesn't change his tone doesn't change much. But it's the air he gives off. It's this gravitas of not gravitas. The shift in the room, the shift of the tone completely changes when his mood changes as well. And even when he's asking for something, you can tell he's really demanding it. Like he's like, Steven, I don't want to do this. Don't make me do this. Don't make me hurt you. Don't make me use Amon's power. I don't want to do it, but I will. But again, he's saying it like he's saying it like he doesn't want to do it, and he's saying it like nicely, but behind it, just behind the veil of nice guy, you can see the villain just kind of snarling and frothing behind the veil of niceness. And you're like, wow, you can see how demented this guy really is. And it's kind of scares you because you know eventually that veil's going to come down and you're going to see what he's really like. And it kind of scares you even more. That knowing that moment is coming. But we're finally going to see like him just drop all pretext of this nice, happy, father figure guy, and just see him go full villain. I am truly both awe of seeing that moment and dreading it at the same time. And then okay, now I'm just gonna powerball it through the next. We finally see Layla shows up to rescue him at the last second. At the last second, and then Layla shows up, even though Steven won't give her up or the location of the scare because he doesn't know where she is or at all. So yeah. But Layla ended up following him and putting herself right into the situation that Steven and Mark didn't want her in the first place. And I could feel when Layla shows up holding the scarab up, that I could feel that moment was almost palpable for me because I could almost feel Mark inside Steven going, "Oh, woman, what are you doing? Why are you here?" I could feel that. I could feel that. I could almost feel that like coming from Mark somewhere in Steven. uh, and and then we get into the action of the episode. Again, at the end of the episode, we finally see we get to see Moon Knight again. But this time it's a little different. Like Layla is they're being chased by Hammond summons the other jackal monster, and it's chasing them, and for some reason only the only conscious avatar can see him. Like Layla can't see this thing at all. You can see you can see the damage it's doing. You can see its effects on the real world around them, but you can't see it itself. And she's begging him to summon the suit, and he's just totally freaking out again. Like, and Mark, and I mean, and then Steven is totally freaking out again. Like, and he's like, "Oh my god, no, 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 no! I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Don't make me do this." And Layla, I love how Layla just gets him to calm down. Like, you can see, even though he doesn't know Layla, she still has this calming effect on him. That in the midst of this freak out and him being chased by another jackal monster, that Layla comes to this guy that even though he doesn't know her, he feels the effect she has on him almost immediately. Like, she calms him down, she gets him to center himself, and he leads the monster. Oh god, hang on. Uh, and Mark finally find and Steven, I keep saying Mark, and Steven finally finds his courage. He finally steps up, and he finally, I mean, it don't last a few minutes, yeah, but he finally steps up, and he finally summons the suit that everybody that Layla's been trying to get him to summon and talking about, like, for the past like 2 minutes during their whole little chase. But it's not the right suit. It's this white linen suit with white linen 3-piece suit with the all white and the and the fractured stitched mask, and it's just clean, son. I mean, Steven's suit is nowhere near in any way, shape, or form the same as Mark's suit. I mean, his looks like he's going to high tea. Mark's suit, Steven's suit looks like you're gonna rob somebody during high tea, and Mark's suit looks just like this kind of ancient, uh, ancient badass, badass like super awesome vigilante, kick-ass superhero type suit. Oh, and I really did, and I loved. And gotta bring it up. The superhero landing. Mark, when the Jackal and Mark when the Jackal and Steven fly out of the building, and Mark finally summons the suit, and you see him fall and hit the beam on the way down, and he still sticks the landing. He still manages to stick a superhero landing. I mean, for me, that was that was a beautiful. In my head, when Mark hit that superhero landing, my immediate thought was Deadpool, dead straight in my head. And honestly, I can see a lot of parallels between Deadpool and Moon Knight. And I love and I loved Mark's reaction to Steven in the suit. Like, when Steven sees himself in the suit, he's like, "Oh wow, yeah, Japper, I look good." And then Mark finally comes in and, like, you were supposed to summon the Moon Knight suit from the temple, the warrior suit, the battle suit. What is this? Why do you have us dressed like a southern? Why do you have us dressed like Psycho Colonel Sanders? And then and then before he can react again, he accidentally pulls out a couple of weapons, and the Jackal shows up. The Jackal gets up and comes at him, and and Layla. And Steven finally is like, okay, enough. I got the suit. I can do this. Come on, let's do this. You and me. And let's be honest, Steven is not a fighter, obviously. You can see it in his reaction. Like, his little float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's why they call me Steven with a V. Little jig he does when he's about to fight this jackal monster. I mean, let's be honest. You can tell Steven's the kind of guy who has probably never been in a fight his entire life. And now, the first fight he's ever been in, he's going to fight a jackal monster. Summoned from the bowels of the underworld. Oh, it was just great. Again, it's another thing. Again, it speaks volumes to Moon Knight's ability. the cast and crew of Moon Knight to balance these awesome action moments with these great little moments of comedy peppered into these situations. I mean, and I absolutely love it. But now we come to my absolute favorite moment. After Steven just one shots the jackal into and throws it into and I don't know if he did it on purpose completely or if he just reacted, but he throws the jackal into an oncoming car. Oh, oh, and everybody in the street is like reacting like, "Oh my god, what just happened? Like, what is this dude? What is wrong with this dude? This dude in this suit. And I mean, I love the crowd's reaction to what's going on because they clearly do not have any clue that they are in serious danger. And Mark gets up after being one shotted by by this car, and Mark's just like, "Okay, good on you, man. You did good. Let me take over. You did good. You did good. You got it lick. You got your licks in. Let me take over." And Mark's like, and Mark and Steven agree. Yeah, okay, fine. You take over. I clearly don't know what I'm doing, and if I this keep going, a lot of people are gonna get hurt. And oh, my favorite scene in the episode when Mark takes over and they switch control, and he puts on his Moon Knight suit. Oh, so sweet. Watching the glow, watching his eyes glow and the suit just wrap around him. It was, brilliant. 100% brilliant. And I love that you can see the people on the bus's reaction to this and like to see him change into the suit. It was so cool. Just, it was visually amazing. And then him and then he leads the jackal away from this from the area. And he lets it chase him, and he just and watching Moon Knight actually get to do some Moon Knight stuff, like really get to see him in the suit, moving around, like really getting into it, running on rooftops, jumping across buildings, and well, not so much fighting the jackal as again one shotting it, just boom, boom. I mean, that was an amazing. That was just amazing to me. I watched, and it was I loved it so much. Yeah. And then after the fight, and then after the I wouldn't really call it a fight. After the chase, and Mark has dispatched the jackal, and he's in full control again. Steven comes to him. You know, you see Steven in the reflection, and they have this little conversation about, and they have this little conversation, and Mark and Steven realizes what it's like being on the inside, trying to speak to the person on the outside, and Steven, and he realizes like he's like, oh my god, is this what it's like on the inside? I can barely move. It feels like, and he's like, and Steven has his freak out moment, another freak out moment, and he tells Mark he wants control back, and Mark is just like, no, I ain't having it. I am done. I am taking control of this situation. I am ending this. I am. And then after Steven and Mark's conversation, Mark realizes he lost the scarab. Ooh, yeah. The scarab he worked so hard to get that he and Steven almost died getting multiple times, by the way. He loses it. And it ends up in the hands of some hobo in an alley after the fight. And it ends who again? Poor hobo. Oh my god, that was sad. Watching Hammond straight up just kill this hobo, that was just sad. And get the scarab and get his hands on the scarab again. Yeah, Khonshu was not happy about that. And then we finally see this. We finally get to our interaction with Khonshu and Mark, and oh, that was a good conversation. And you really do see why. After seeing the conversation between Khonshu and Mark in the square, you finally realize, yeah, Khonshu is not nice. This guy is a douche, and he's he basically threatens that Mark that, oh yeah, if you, yeah, sure, you can stop being Moon Knight after this, after you find the scarab and stop Amonet's resurrection, but I'm just gonna pick your girlfriend to be my next avatar. And do you really want that? And I'm like, whoa, hold up a minute. Khonshu, dude, you're supposed to be like this. You're talking about being real justice and an avenger of the innocent, and yet You are threatening you're threatening your avatar and the person he loves. I mean, dude, no. I can see why Hammond dumped you. I can see why Hammond quit now. Like, no offense, but I, I think part of Hammond, what made Hammond into the person he is, was Khonshu and in the threats and whatnot. I mean, you can only take so much abuse. And I am not going to be surprised one bit if we find out that Hammond went to Amunet to get away from Khonshu. I mean, seriously, after that conversation, shoo, dude, no. But and then whew, Mark talks Khonshu down, and he asked him, and he asked, yeah, okay, so what's our next step? Where do we go now? Where do we go now? Since we don't have the scarab, we're just gonna have to go straight to the tomb. We're gonna have to cut. We're gonna have to stop Aminet before she's resurrected. And he asked Khonshu, hey, where are we going now? And Khonshu, being his usual cheerful self, says, where do you think? Walks off, and boom, cutaway. This is the first time we've seen a cutaway where Mark is the victim of Mark appears to be the victim of a blackout because he wakes up. Well, he wakes up and he wakes up in a trashed hotel room, holding what looks like a bottle of whiskey in his hand, and takes a glug, gets up, opens the curtains, and boom, Egypt. I'm not sure if they were in Cairo or Giza yet, but uh, next episode we'll find out, and I cannot wait. I mean, seriously, I loved it. Episode 1, Episode 2 of Moon Knight, The Goldfish Problem, Summon the Suit. If you have not seen them, why are you even watching this? Seriously. If you're watching this and you haven't seen Moon Knight yet, I'm sorry. I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but why? Why are you not watching this show? I mean, dude, this is I cannot praise this show enough. I am I truly am in love with the show, and I cannot. I mean, Marvel is just oh the the Marvel movies are incredible, but and I've loved all of the shows they put out so far. WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Oh, I mean, I even love the. I mean, even though it's not a show, I've even loved the Eternals to a certain extent. And Loki, oh my God, season 1 of Loki was so good. And I just cannot wait to see how Moon Knight fits into this. Oh, and one other thing. Oh, I should definitely bring up after now that it has been confirmed that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Punisher are all canon and officially part of the MCU now, that opens up so many new doors and possibilities because if you remember, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think it was season 4 where they met Ghost Rider. Oh, Ghost Rider is canon. That means, thanks to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ghost Rider is canon in the MCU, and Moon Knight is canon in the MCU, which means at some point, those two have to cross paths now. Seriously, I cannot wait to see that. I honestly hope and pray someday to see Ghost Rider get his own show like Moon Knight, because oh my God, tell me that would not be amazing, right? A Ghost Rider Moon Knight team up or even fight would be amazing to see done like this. And oh man, I think I'm gonna call it there. I mean, seriously, I oh I want to thank you guys for watching this. If you liked it, hit that like button, comment, subscribe, do what you do. Thank you again for putting up with this insanely long rant of mine for hour and 20 minutes. Wow. I did not mean to go this long. I wanted this to be a short video, but it just kind of got away from me, and I just, oh, I cannot. I got nothing left to say. I mean, I really don't. I mean, again, Moon Knight. I am just in complete love with this show. In fact, I'm gonna go back and watch another. I'm gonna go back and watch episode 1 and 2 again. I will see you guys later. Thanks. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at FDM Reviews. That's all I got for you, folks. Later.